I guess because I was raised in such a conservative, sheltered, we don't do anything and we don't talk about it kind of attitude, that when my form of rebellion was things like this. With a single father, well, he was single when he signed on, but he has a partner now. They've been together for, I guess, 2 years, and so they're raising the babies, twins, together. Had twins in February. They were born in the middle of the Super Bowl. They were calling me the Super Bowl C-section. This whole host of hospital staff that had to TiVo the game. Not that I cared at all. I guess I was 16. I was watching Oprah, something like that, with my mother. And I saw the story of the woman whose mother carried twins for her. And that was like a really big thing at that time. It sounded amazing, you know. And I remember asking my mother, would you do that for me? Of course, my mother at that time, when I was 16, she was probably pregnant with my baby brother. At that time, she was still having babies. And she, without batting an eye, she said, yes. You won't need it, but yes. After a while of, having children, living in the world, and seeing the people who have so much trouble having children, there's almost an element of survivor guilt. You know, I didn't do anything to deserve to have it so easy. Nor did other people that I would see, and mostly, at this point in my life when I was starting to really realize this element, I was looking at, heterosexual couples where they would just have tried for 10 years or whatever and no luck. And of course, when I was a senior in high school was when the Baby M story hit. There was the woman's name is Mary Beth Whitehead, and she signed on with an agency to be a traditional surrogate and got the baby back. There was a really long, drawn-out procedure. And then originally they gave it to the adoptive mother and the biological father, and then that was overturned, and she wound up with partial custody or something. It was a really big mess, and so that was a real eye-opener for me. But of course, unfortunately, the media doesn't ever talk about the thousands and thousands of surrogacies all over the world that go perfectly normal. They'll latch onto the one or two, that are a mess. That was a big thing for me. And I think it was probably at that point that I sort of put in the back of my mind, I might like to do that someday. When he was born, I had my tubes tied, so I knew we're finished. We have 3, our nest is full. And I was still nursing him when I had a friend who had been on a waiting list a long time to adopt, and she adopted. They finally called her, and they had a baby girl for her, and she was, just the elation that we all went through that she was going to finally have this baby. And then about 4 days later, after she had the baby and had been nursing the baby, and the teenage mother changed her mind and took the baby back, and that's how it works, and there was nothing they could do. And so it was at that point, watching her go through that agony, and what do you even say to somebody? It was so painful. And I just said, if I'm ever going to do this, now's the time. I'm not getting any younger, and I know that I can handle it at this point. Then one night we cracked out a bottle of wine, and my husband and I, we play Scrabble to the death. So we're playing Scrabble, and he was winning, so I knew this was it's very rare, and I knew he was in a good place. And I broached the subject, and he was immediately. He stopped the game, he reached across and took my hand, and he had tears in his eyes, and he said he was so proud of me for even thinking of such a thing. And at that point I had done absolutely no research whatsoever. And so we stopped the Scrabble game, which was really, he forfeited, so I won that game. We were right then in the bed where the computer is, and Google. And here's how it works. And I did not know anything about gestational surrogacy. I could not have told you this is traditional, this is gestational. I knew that there were probably, I understood the IVF process, and I assumed that it was done that someone would carry somebody else's entire, their eggs, their sperm. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do, because even if I thought that emotionally I would be fine with traditional surrogacy, I knew, for instance, my mother would never have been able to handle knowing that she had another grandchild out there. I mean, that's just the kind of person that she is, and I couldn't have done that to her, even if I thought I could handle it. So immediately got involved with an agency in California, went all the way through the process with them in terms of the paperwork and the interviews, and they did everything by mail. So it was just, you know, hurry up and fill this out, 47 forms in triplicate, and then mail it, and then wait for them to get it, and then call me, and then mail something back. But ultimately, after this whole long process, their attorney just said, like I said before, not comfortable with Texas law, didn't want to have to learn about it, and so I had to move on. And I was very discouraged for a while, because once you decide you're going to do something like that, you want to do it. Do it right now. I don't want to wait. I'm trying to give something here. Would somebody please take it? When she was in the interview asking me about what couples I would work with, she said, would you be willing to work with a gay couple? And that hadn't occurred to me. New thought, light bulb, you know, in my head. And suddenly, that's exactly what I wanted to do. So that was, so after that, I tried getting on with the Texas agency because of what the attorney had said about Texas law. But in Texas, you can have surrogacy. There are agencies, but not gay couples can't do it. And so I said, oh, thank you, because I'd already made up my mind that I wanted to carry my uterus somewhere a little more open-minded. Really, really discouraged, because I got on with a couple of little agencies that turned out to be just, you know, somebody with a desk in their house. And when the lady started making excuses to me about how she couldn't move forward with my process because she was keeping her brother's dog and whatever, I knew I needed to get somebody else.